the last beacon flickered. Commander Rel of the Ladhari Concordance watched the holopanel with hollow eyes as the emergency signal stuttered, then steadied, then dimmed again. Each pulse was weaker than the last. Around him, the command deck of Havenfall Station groaned under distant impacts, kinetic rounds chewing into alloy, plasma lances raking the outer hull. The enemy fleet had encircled the station for 3 cycles now, tightening the noose with patient cruelty. "They're jamming us," an aide whispered, crest feathers flattened in fear. "Signal strength at 12%. Rel nodded slowly. 12% was better than nothing. 12% meant the call might still escape the system. 12% meant hope, however thin, was not yet dead. "Keep broadcasting," he said. "Rotate frequencies, use every band we have." The aide hesitated. "Commander, we've already sent distress calls to every nearby polity." The Threxian hegemony refused. The Virex Collective did not answer. "The Corps are already allied with the invaders," Rel finished quietly. He knew the list by heart. He had memorized it during the long hours when sleep refused to come. There was one name left on that list, one species so distant, so new, so unpredictable that even speaking it aloud felt like grasping at myth. Humans. A junior officer shifted nervously. "Sir, do we continue the Earth Channel transmission?" Rel's mandibles tightened. Many in the Concordance had argued against it. The humans were young on the galactic stage, barely 2 centuries since their first faster-than-light jump. Dangerous, impulsive, fiercely independent. They were not bound by the web of ancient treaties that governed the older powers. Some called them reckless, others called them monsters. Rel had called them honest. "Yes," he said at last, "we continue." The beacon pulsed again, flinging its desperate cry into the void. "This is Havenfall Station of the Ladhari Concordance. We are under attack by the Dradhak Dominion. Civilian population present. We request immediate assistance. Any assistance." Then, almost as an afterthought, the final line. "Earth, if you can hear this, please." The Dradhak Dominion had not bothered to answer the beacon. They did not need to. Their ships hung like iron shadows against the stars, vast, angular warforms bristling with weaponry, their hulls etched with conquest sigils older than most civilizations. The Dradhak believed in inevitability. They believed resistance was a temporary inconvenience, like a storm on a march. From the bridge of the flagship Enduring Wrath, High Executor Kravex observed Havenfall Station with cold satisfaction. "Status," he growled. "Enemy defenses at 40%. Reported a tactical drone. Station shields failing in multiple sectors. No reinforcements detected." Kravex's tusked grin widened. "They always send the calls," he said. "They always believe someone will answer." The Dradhak had learned a long time ago that hope was a weapon best turned against its owners. Let them wait, let them believe. The longer they waited for salvation that would never come, the sweeter the moment of collapse. "Prepare the final assault," Kravex ordered. "I want the station intact enough to loot. The rest, burn." On Havenfall, the lights flickered, gravity stuttered. Somewhere deep in the station's habitat ring, something exploded. Rel braced himself against the console as the deck lurched. "Damage report. Section Gamma breached," an officer cried. "Atmospheric loss in civilian quarters." Rel closed his eyes for a fraction of a second. Too many lives, too many children. He had sworn an oath to protect them, and now that oath felt like ash in his mouth. "Seal Gamma," he said. "Divert power from research labs to shields. Every second matters." Another impact shuddered through the station. Closer this time. The Dradhak were no longer probing. They were finishing. The beacon pulsed. "Weaker. We won't last much longer," the aide whispered. Rel straightened. If this was to be the end, he would meet it standing. "Then we hold," he said, "until the last system fails." Minutes stretched into eternities. The station's outer defenses fell silent one by one. Fires bloomed on the holomap like dying stars. The Dradhak fleet closed in, weapons charging for the killing blow. And then, "Commander!" Rel turned sharply. "What is it?" The sensor officer's eyes were wide. Crest feathers flared in disbelief. "We're detecting mass distortions. Multiple. No hundreds." Kravex frowned aboard the Enduring Wrath. His sensors had begun to sing not alarms, but something stranger. Space itself seemed to ripple, like a pond struck by unseen stones. "What is that?" he demanded. "Unknown signatures," The tactical drone replied, FTL emergence vectors, scale, unprecedented. The void tore open. It was not a single flash, not a neat, orderly arrival like the Drathack preferred. It was chaos made manifest, hundreds of rifts blossoming across the battle space, gravity screaming as ships forced their way back into real space. They came in formations so dense they blotted out the stars. Steel-gray hulls, scarred and functional, bristling with weapons that glowed with barely contained energy, carriers the size of small moons, battleships layered in armor thick enough to shrug off stellar flares, swarms of smaller craft pouring out like angry hornets. On their flanks, a simple marking repeated again and again. A blue sphere. A white curve. Earth. Silence fell across Havenfall's command deck. The sensor officer's voice shook. Human fleet, count still rising, estimate, over 12,000 vessels. Rel's breath caught. 12,000? No, sir, the officer whispered. Correction, that was just the first wave. A new transmission cut through the chaos, clear and strong, punching through jamming like it wasn't even there. This is Admiral Helena Ward of the United Terran Defense Fleet, the voice said, calm, steady, unmistakably human. Havenfall Station, you are not alone. Rel sagged into his chair, legs trembling. Around him, officers stared at the displays, some openly weeping. They came, the aide breathed, they actually came. On the enduring wrath, Kravex felt something unfamiliar coil in his gut. Fear. This is impossible, he snarled. No polity fields this many ships, not for a single station. The tactical drone hesitated, a rare thing. Analysis indicates human strategic doctrine prioritizes Allied civilian protection, probability of withdrawal, negligible. Admiral Ward's fleet did not hesitate. Human ships surged forward, engines flaring with controlled fury. The smaller craft, fighters and corvettes raced ahead, weaving through space with terrifying agility. They did not form rigid lines like the Drathack. They flowed, adapted, split and rejoined like a living organism. Engage defensive screens, Kravex roared. Too late. Human railguns spoke first. Invisible slugs accelerated to fractions of light speed, punching through Drathack shields before their systems could compensate. One Drathack cruiser vanished in a flash of light and debris, its core breached in a heartbeat, then another, then three more. Energy beams followed, focused, precise, cutting apart weapons arrays, engines, command nodes. The humans were not firing wildly, they were dissecting the Drathack fleet with surgical intent. On Havenfall, cheers erupted as Drathack ships began to fall back in disarray. They're targeting the siege vessels, an officer shouted. They're breaking the encirclement. Rel watched in awe as a massive human battleship slid between Havenfall and the Drathack flagship, its shields flaring under heavy fire yet holding. Another transmission came through, this one on an open channel. Drathack Dominion vessels, Admiral Ward announced. This system is now under the protection of Earth. Power down your weapons and withdraw immediately. Kravex laughed, a harsh, brittle sound. You think to threaten us in our own conquest? He snarled, opening a channel. We are the Drathack. We do not retreat. Ward's reply was immediate. We were hoping you'd say that. The second wave arrived. They dropped out of FTL behind the Drathack fleet, hundreds more ships, cutting off escape vectors. Heavy carriers unleashed entire squadrons of autonomous drones, each one armed and coordinated with terrifying efficiency. The humans advanced from all sides. This is not a battle, Rel realized softly. It's an execution. Kravex's commands turned frantic. Redirect power, break through their flank, anything. But the Drathack ships were designed for wars of attrition against predictable foes. The humans fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen, relentless, adaptive, terrifyingly cooperative. Every time the Drathack countered a tactic, the humans shifted, exploiting the opening before it could close. A human destroyer took a direct hit to its bow, armor plating peeling away. Instead of withdrawing, it rammed a Drathack cruiser at full thrust, detonating both ships in a blinding explosion that tore a hole through the enemy line. For Havenfall, came a shout over the open channel, human voices echoing across the void. Rel felt something swell in his chest, fierce and overwhelming. They're risking everything, the aide said. For us. Humans do that, Rel replied, voice thick, when they decide you matter. Within an hour, the battle was over. Drathack wreckage drifted in silent clouds. A handful of surviving ships fled, engines screaming as they tore open desperate FTL rifts. The rest were gone, destroyed or crippled beyond recovery. The enduring wrath burned. Kravak stared at the viewscreen as fires consumed his flagship, systems failing one by one. The human battleship loomed ahead, weapons locked. Why? He demanded, transmitting blindly. Why would you commit such force for strangers? Admiral Ward's face appeared on his screen, eyes hard. Because you threatened them, she said simply, and because when someone calls for help, Earth answers. The transmission cut. A moment later, the enduring wrath ceased to exist. Rescue shuttles swarmed Havenfall Station within minutes. Human engineers worked alongside Lathari crews, sealing breaches, restoring power, evacuating the wounded. Medics moved with practiced urgency, treating alien physiology with astonishing competence. Rel stood in the docking bay as a human officer approached, helmet tucked under one arm. "Commander Rel?" she asked. "Yes," he replied, bowing slightly. "I'm Captain Morales," she said. "Admiral Ward sends her regards. She says you held longer than anyone could have expected." Rel swallowed. "You came faster than we dared hope." Morales smiled, a small, tired thing. "We were closer than you think." He looked past her, at the endless line of human ships hanging guard over the station. "The galaxy will talk about this," he said. "They already fear you." "Fear's not what we're aiming for," Morales replied, "but we won't apologize for protecting our friends." Rel met her gaze. "After today, you will have many." Far beyond Havenfall, in halls of power and shadowed councils, the story spread. They thought no one would come. They were wrong. Earth's mightiest armada had answered the call, and the galaxy would never forget what that meant.